We are about to hear from some remarkable people. Mark J. Hublar was born in 1964 with Down syndrome. At the time, doctors said he needed to be institutionalized because he would never be able to develop enough to take care of himself. So Mr. Hublar today has a college degree, lives independently, and is a popular motivational speaker. He is here with his brother Greg, who wrote this book about Mark and his family's experience. We also have his parents, Al and Linda Hublar, whose love for their son led to a truly amazing outcome. And Mark, the first question is to you. As a motivational speaker, what's the one thing you like to say to everybody?
Mark, talk about your ROI.
My life?
Yep.
Well, my name's Mark Hublar. It's Mark Joseph Hublar. And when I was born, out in Indianapolis, the doctors told Mom and Dad what they're going to do with me when I was born. Well, what they wanted to do is put me to an institution because I have Down syndrome. I was born with Down syndrome. Well, look at me now.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
56 years old now.
Definitely look at you now. And Mom and Dad, that had to be a very tough decision for you, getting that doctor's advice and then going against it. Did you feel like you were taking a risk when you took him home?
Well, we felt like it was definitely the right thing to do. There was no way we were going to leave our baby in a hospital or in an institution, and we never looked back. It was the right decision to make.
Tell me when you knew that that was the right decision. What did you start seeing from him and when that told you things were going to be a lot better than what the doctors told you?
Well, all of his milestones, everything he did that we were not expecting, we felt like it was a miracle to be able to sit up and eat from a spoon and talk and walk. And so we felt surely that was the right decision to make.
Dad, there were some ups and downs along the way. What was really challenging to your family? You have other children.
Yes, we have. We actually have 4 sons. Mark is actually number 2, and then Greg is a 3rd son, and we also have a 4th son, Todd. And they've all been very supportive of Mark.
And that's something that I noticed when I was reading the book, that there was so much was said about the brothers and how they all developed, they all learned from each other. Explain that for me.
Well, it was interesting Mark's position in the family. He was only 11 months younger than his oldest brother, Mike. And Mike always took it on himself to train Mark to do everything that he could do. And so when Greg came along, Mark felt like that it was his time to teach Greg. And so he taught everything that Mike had taught him. And about the time that they all started leaving, Todd was born. And Todd then looked up to Mark. And again, Mark taught Todd as they moved through life. So he's been a student and a teacher all his life.
So we have youngest brother Greg here. Greg, you actually wrote this book for the family, cover to cover. It is just so full of love with what your family has done here. What should we take away from your brother's story? And tell us what he's been able to accomplish. Just give us a list.
Well, it's unbelievable what Mark's been able to do, as Mom and Dad talked about. Being born at a time when Down syndrome wasn't even a term, being told that he wouldn't walk or talk or show any emotion, basically live a vegetative life. And to see him just to do everything that we did, whether it's playing football, whether it's playing organized sports, going to school, mainstream, even getting a college degree, it's just been incredible.
You know him probably better than anybody. How wrong was that diagnosis, and does it make you angry even all these years later?
It really doesn't make me angry. I think initially it did as I was writing the book, but then I think back at the time, Down syndrome wasn't even a term, as I mentioned, and so people really didn't know anything about it. And I guess I liken it to being a kid, and instead of cleaning my room the right way, I just moved it underneath the bed where nobody could see it. And I think that was the mentality back there, is to put them in an institution, and they wouldn't really have to deal with it. And looking back on it, I don't know that anybody had any ill intentions, but they certainly didn't give these young people a chance to develop and live a life that God intended.
Well, Mark, I would like to know when people ask you how they should treat their children with Down syndrome, what do you tell them?
What do you tell them when they ask you how they should raise their kid with Down syndrome?
Well, the first thing you gotta do is when you become a parent. See, I'm not a parent, I'm just a son. But what I do, I give people advices for those children to have a good life, and a great life. They can go to college, they can get married, they can drive, they can do anything what other people can do too. And there's one thing I do always say. Down syndrome doesn't stop me one bit. None of my friends. Yes, I am part of the Down syndrome of Louisville, and I have friends. And I hope they're watching me on TV. But I support them in which way. But they have every right to be a college student. They can do anything they want to do like I did. And they can do the same thing if they want to. But I know they want to.
You were born with doctors immediately saying that you would have limits, but your message is just the opposite, that there are no limits. What do you have to say to other people with Down syndrome?
Mark, what do you tell people with Down syndrome? They can do it? Mark, that they can do it? What do you tell people with Down syndrome? That they're capable of doing it?
Yes, that's right. People, you gotta know, people in the United States of America, around the world, they have to understand what the people with Down syndrome. Yes, I do have Down syndrome, but you know, it's just how you've been born. People with Down syndrome, they can do anything they want to do. It can be on TV like what's happening right now. I mean, you can't stop them. That's life. I'm here for one reason. For one thing, I'm doing God's job. While that He's busy in heaven. And I know He's proud of me to do this. But people with Down syndrome, they can do anything that's possible like normal people can do too.
Your entire family is proud of you, Mark. We're going to talk to you a little bit more. We're going to go to a break right now. Next on Wave Country, we talk more with the Hublar family and find out how you can schedule Mark to speak to your organization. Stay with us. Oh, we're all getting a good laugh just having a conversation here in the studio. Welcome back to our conversation with Mark Hublar and his family. You still live in New Albany, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Now, as Mark was growing up there, where were you able to find support, and how did the community help you in raising him?
Well, yeah, I'll take that one.
I didn't think that was a tough question.
Well, there was no help initially.
There really wasn't any help initially. And we were told that two things, that Mark would go as far as he would go, and it was up to the parents to really to put opportunities in front of him. And the other thing is that we should always give him a chance to fail, because that's how we all learn. And that's pretty much the way Mark was raised. We didn't do anything special because we didn't know anything special. And there was no one there to say, you know, what he would do and what he wouldn't do.
So how did you know what to do right or what was wrong? I mean, how do you just write the playbook while you're in the middle of the game like this?
Well, it was pretty simple for us. With having three sons, our standard procedure was go out and do anything they do. And unfortunately, he did the good things and some of the bad things. So we raised him pretty much like normal, and we expected a lot from Mark. And it's always been our goal to let Mark do the things that eventually will let him reach his full potential.
What was the one thing that surprised you most about him? He's had so many milestones. The college degree is just incredible. But throughout his development, what was the one moment that said, he's going to be okay, this is going to work?
I'm going
to take that one. Reading was like the main miracle in my life for Mark, because they always said he could either be educable or trainable. And we didn't have a problem with the training. We knew he could follow his brother's examples. But to actually learn how to read was one of our biggest miracles with Mark.
Now, Greg, if people want to book him for some motivational speaking, how do they go about it?
Best way to do it, whether you want to book him for speaking or you'd like to purchase a copy of his book, on his website, markjhublerspeaks.com, list all his accolades, list all his successes, list ways that you can book him for speaking. There's contact information. markjhublerspeaks@gmail.com would be the easiest way to do it. Also, I want to put in a thought here in terms of the book. Anybody that purchases the book, Mark will give 10% of that back to one of 7 charities that the person buying the book can select. And all proceeds from the book will go to Mark's retirement fund.
His retirement fund, how old is Mark now?
Mark, how old are you?
I am 56 years old.
Well,
and I'm single.
Retirement's not that far away. What would you like to do in retirement?
What do you want to do when you retire? What do you want to do when you retire?
Well, if I get retired, I'm still go on, you know, with my life and maybe with a girlfriend, maybe. But I am single and I'm 56 years old. I live in my own apartment now, and
and what's something
I'm a college student.
Mark, you have worked your entire adult life. Is that correct?
You've always worked. All the jobs that you've had?
Yes. Always the job that I have. First, I went to college here in Louisville, Kentucky. It was called Jefferson Community Technical College. I come down here to Louisville and I met with a public speaking. And the reason why I wanted to public speaking is because that's a favorite friend of mine. I love to speak. I go across country and speak. I talk about ROI, respect, opportunity, and inclusion.
Inclusion.
And that's what you talk about.
So that's something that's probably affected the entire family, to see others try to exclude him from normal activities. That had to be difficult to educate everyone around him all these years.
Yes. Sports especially. He didn't quite qualify for sports. But then at 18, Special Olympics came along, and that just changed the whole life for him. And just, you know, so many opportunities. People that have been there are Down Syndrome of Louisville, Special Friends Club, Special Olympics. So he has definitely had a full life.
The sports we're talking about is football and baseball, correct?
Well, he did that in grade school. In fact, he was on the same team with Greg for baseball and football. And they made their first communion on the same day together. So they've been pretty good buddies. But the major sports were basketball, bowling, softball, and track, and that was with Special Olympics.
How important was it to have him out there doing normal things like that, like every other kid, in terms of his development? And what did you see when you had him out there doing that?
Oh, confidence. And not only that, but he had ribbons, medals, and trophies to put on his trophy shelf, just like his brothers.
Talk about confidence, Mark. You are confident. I can just see that in you. It takes a lot to stand up in front of a crowd and talk to people. Do you ever get scared?
Do you ever get nervous talking in front of people?
Oh, no. Oh, no. I think this is Territory 3, I believe. I used to work for Walmart here in New Albany, Indiana. And I think Territory 3 came and started cameras me down there. I was out for a shoulder cap surgery. And I've been there for like, I would say 5.5. It was like almost 6 years. And I'm not there anymore. But I went on. I went to college then. And I spoke everywhere. I went to Connecticut. I went to a different place to speak. So anybody calls me, I'm there.
Well, here's what I would like to know. Greg, maybe you could tell us, what should somebody expect when they book your brother for a speaking engagement?
Well, people are told their entire life, if you have a disability, particularly Down syndrome, what you're not going to be able to do. What Mark's going to do is show you what you can do. And he's going to do it by example, not some hypothetical, not some type of formula that if you do this, and hopefully that will happen. He's going to share with you a life well lived and tell you the highs and the lows. And really, the crowd will be moved from overwhelming laughter to really tears in what he's gone through and what he's been through, and just a true success.
Now, the book is called A Miracle Named Mark, but from my perspective, just talking to all of you, I think your family is something of a miracle as well, to just be able to intuitively navigate your way through this. That's amazing.
Well, one thing I'll say obviously to my parents' credit, is we didn't even know growing up that Mark had Down syndrome. We would, I'll put it nicely, we would wrestle just as hard with each other as we would with Mark. And whether we were playing tackle football, whether we were playing home run derby, whatever it was, we were very physical with him and expected him to do everything that we did. So we were never told that he was any different, not by what we were told or by the actions that we saw. So he was just Mark.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it up here. Mark, it has been so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming here and bringing your wonderful family with you. This has been a great conversation today, and I think we might all learn something by listening to you, so thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.